All right, so guys, it's Ryan Ho back with another video. Today I want to ask ChatGPT some age-old questions that audiophiles like to ask. One of the biggest questions is, does the HyphenMan HE6 require an amplifier, right? Or do you need an amplifier for the HyphenMan HE6 headphone? Because the HE6 is a kind of a low impedance headphone, but it has really high sensitivity. So I would say an amplifier probably is required if you want to get a high enough volume and then obviously for better quality. So I just wanted to ask the bot what they thought and kind of see the responses and kind of judge, how accurate the responses are, at least in my experience with this headphone as I'm wearing it right now, and then kind of judge like how reliable source of information is ChatGPT, at least in answering questions, right? So I asked the question and it says, yes, the HyphenMan HE6 are a high impedance headphone that require a dedicated headphone amplifier to drive them to their full potential. They're considered a highly demanding headphones that require a powerful and capable amplifier to drive them properly, which is very accurate. Using a weak amplifier or a built-in amplifier in a laptop, phone, or other device will not provide enough power to drive the HE6 to their full potential, which I agree. Keyword is full potential. You may not get the best audio experience with them. It's recommended to use a headphone amplifier that delivers enough power to drive them efficiently, as well as provide a clean and neutral sound signature that won't color the audio output. That is, yeah, I don't really think I asked about the clean and neutral sound signature, because if you read a clean and neutral sound signature, and I asked the second question is, what amplifier should I buy for the HE6, right? And the ones that it would kind of recommend are a lot of tube amplifiers, which I wouldn't call those clean and neutral sound signature that won't color the audio output. But you can see that it recommended the Shit Liar 3, which is a hybrid tube, the Little Dot MK2, which is another tube amplifier. And then I honestly haven't heard of this Eddy Current, but I guess it's another tube amplifier. So 3 out of the 5 recommendations, and the number 1 recommendation is a tube amplifier. So that contradicts the clean and neutral, right? But these amplifiers do have enough power, but I don't think I would recommend a tube amplifier for the HE6 personally, but that's what the bot says. These are the few of the many options available for the best amplifier. You'll depend on your personal preference and budget. It's a good idea to read reviews, research, and blah, blah, to choose what will deliver power and sound quality. So then I followed up the question with we're talking about amplifiers, talking about powering. I wanted him to define that more, right? So I asked the question, how many watts does the HyphenMan HE6 need? Because, it talks about power, but it does it really vaguely. So I wanted to go kind of more in depth, right? So the HyphenMan HE6 has an impedance of 50 ohms and sensitive 83 dB, which is very accurate, which means they require a fair amount of power to drive them at high volumes. The exact volume needed will depend on the amplifier that you're using and the volume level you desire. Very accurate. As a general rule, it's recommended to use an amplifier that will deliver at least 1 to 2 watts of power per channel into a 50 ohm load. This should provide plenty of headroom for the HE6 and allow you to achieve high volumes without distortion. That was flawless, honestly. That was a great answer. It's worth noting that more power does not necessarily equate to better sound quality. I did not ask this, but he kind of clarified this, which I think is actually a very important point, because a lot of people think that you can just buy a random speaker amplifier type of thing that's $50, $60 off of Amazon, and it's going to sound good because it's on a speaker amplifier, and that's just really not true at all. The amplifier you should choose should also have a clean and neutral sound signature, which it keeps saying that. It keeps going back to that, which is interesting, with low distortion and noise to provide the best audio experience for HyphenMan HE6 headphones. I don't disagree with that. So now I wanted him, her AI, whatever, to dig more into what it means, right? So what does more power not necessarily equate to better sound quality? So I wanted the bot to kind of explain the concept in more detail to see if it can, kind of understand the more nuances of power, right? Instead of just having a general kind of understanding, right? So then it kind of spits out, more power does not always equate to better sound quality, because the quality of the amplifier's output is determined by more than just the power output. This is very important. See, this is the part that a lot of people kind of don't understand, I think. Like power is just one metric, right? So now it kind of goes into other factors, right? Other factors such as the amplifier's distortion, noise floor, frequency response, and power supply all play a role in determining the overall sound quality of an amplifier. I definitely agree with that. The amplifier has high distortion or a high noise floor will degrade the audio signal and produce subpar audio experience, even if it has a high power output. See, that's very important because a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, you put like the speaker amplifier, you can hear the noise floor and stuff like that. It's like, this is one of the things that are very important to consider. Additionally, an amplifier with poorly designed power supply may not be able to provide stable and consistent power to the headphones, leading to fluctuations in the audio output, which is also true. So the power supply, it's highlighting as very important, right? For these reasons, it's important to choose an amplifier that provides a clean and neutral sound signature with low distortion. Okay, so it's kind of repeating again, kind of like the things I asked earlier. So then now I wanted to drill even more into like the responses. So I asked, what is an example of a poorly designed power supply? So I wanted to see, its understanding, kind of describe the concept in more detail, right? A poorly designed power supply can refer to a power supply that doesn't provide stable and consistent voltage to an amplifier, which can result in fluctuations in the audio output. This can lead to problems such as hum, buzz, and other unwanted noise in the audio, as well as a reduction in dynamic range. So I thought that was very, very good, right? Like it kind of repeated the kind of stable and consistent. Well, I guess it didn't mention voltage earlier, right? And then of course I guess it's mentioning the buzzing, humming again, but it started talking about kind of the reduction in dynamic range and headroom. An example of poorly designed power supply, one that does not have adequate filtering, regulation, decoupling, which can lead to fluctuation in the voltage supplied to the amplifier. Additionally, a power supply does not have a large enough capacity or is not designed to handle current demands of an amplifier, can result in the voltage dropping under heavy load, causing audio output to become compressed or clipped. So this is also true. I feel like the ending comment is always like a reminder, like it almost like wants to remind you things it mentioned earlier. So it's important to choose an amplifier that's well designed, power to ensure stable, consistent. Like kind of just repeats itself, right? It's like almost like it's like writing an essay. It's like the beginning is like the point, and then it like reiterates the beginning over again. I don't know. I think it's really interesting how it kind of phrases it. But honestly, that response was very, very good too. Like those are all the factors that are maybe not all, but those are definitely factors that lead to a poorly designed power supply. So I hope like this kind of helped like show how useful this tool is. Like I feel like maybe not all the responses are correct, but it's very interesting how you can kind of learn more about audio through just asking the bot. And I think it's interesting because I would say most of the responses were correct. Maybe the only thing is I think maybe it really only flawed was like the logic kind of contradict each other, but kind of the information it had was pretty good, to be honest. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys found this entertaining and useful or interesting. Please like and subscribe down below, helps my videos out. I make audio and content here all the time, so you don't want to miss out on that. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.